Ethereum just convincingly broke through $4,000, but Binance are offloading a ton of their ETH. In today's video, we'll be talking about this. We'll of course be going over the recent Bitcoin price action because everything that we just discussed is playing out to perfection. I'll be telling you how I'm currently navigating this market, and we'll of course go over whether or not altcoin season has started. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So on today's agenda, we have Ethereum to kick off the video. You can see that we are now above $4,000. It looks like this is an explosive move on the weekly time frame after last week having a little bit of a correction down to $3,350. So if we break through this $4,000 level and we close the week around here, my expectation would actually be all-time highs for ETH. And I've been talking about this on the channel at length, but I do think that this cycle Ethereum could be hitting between $5,000 to $7,000. Now, if we make it to this all-time high around 4.8K and it doesn't take long to get there, at that point, I don't think that $7,000 is out of the question. ETH could be going much, much higher. But as you know, we're realistic on this channel. I won't be giving you $20,000 price targets for ETH this bull market cycle. Now, this has happened all while Binance has been aggressively selling their ETH, dragging the price back down. Now, of course, on the shorter time frames, this is what we saw. If we take a look at it, as soon as we hit the $4,000 level, we came back down to right around 3.9K, a very minor correction, but we can see that on-chain, Binance are going ahead and selling their ETH, but it doesn't seem to be impacting the price that much. I want to go over this because a lot of people would be freaking out because we know that Binance does have a lot of Ethereum, and you can see the data doesn't lie. They're transferring a ton of ETH to Wintermute, and we also see them selling it off. Now, what I want you to pay attention to here is we know that Binance actually hold around 4.5 million Ethereum, 4.6 million, I should say. But if we go to their proof of reserve here, you can see that their ETH ratio to customer funds is basically 100%, 1-to-1, and that's standard practice in the crypto industry. And so I wouldn't be concerned about Binance selling off their Ethereum because you can see that their customer net balance is 4,555,013, but the Binance net balance is 4,585,489 Ethereum. And so there's nothing to be concerned about. It's not like they have way more ETH than their customer funds. And so ultimately, whatever selling off you see for ETH would be coming directly from the Binance customers. Nothing to worry about. And honestly, this is looking like explosive price action for ETH on the hourly, on the 4-hourly, on the 12-hour, and of course on the weekly time frame. What a candle this would be if we close like this in the next 2 days. I wanted to start off the video here because you know that $4,000 is a very crucial level for ETH to get through. You can see that every single time that we wicked above it, we would come back down. And so this was the same thing this cycle. Hit 4K, come back down. Hit 4K, come even lower, down to $1,400. The last time that Ethereum hit $4,000, we saw it absolutely crashing, basically 65%, only to pop right back up. And so this is extremely exciting because finally it does look like we could be moving much, much higher here. That's of course if Bitcoin behaves. Now, every single time that we tap into a resistance or support level, the odds of breaking it increase. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And so Ethereum does look very, very bullish, not just on its US dollar valuation, but of course against Bitcoin as well, despite the Binance dumping, because right now this is a very bullish weekly candle for ETH Bitcoin, and it is well within my expectations that we can find our way back above 0.07 this cycle, and then we'll have to see what happens. But ultimately, when we came back to the lows from 2019, it was an excellent risk to reward opportunity to accumulate Ethereum with your Bitcoin, and that's what we've been discussing on the channel. So right now, my spot portfolio is mainly Bitcoin and ETH, but we do know that when Ethereum shows some continued outperformance, this can actually drag the altcoin market with it, and there could be some select outperformers in altcoins. Now, speaking of the altcoin market, we have to address Bitcoin dominance because, as you know, I've been vocally bullish on Bitcoin dominance since way back here. Now, are we going to break down? Was this just a minor pump before we can go ahead and come crashing down, leading to an altcoin season like we saw back over here in 2021. If this is the case, then we could see alts go absolutely parabolic. Now, I'm actually hoping, once again, that this is not the case. The reason being, if Bitcoin can take charge for this next leg higher, it's at that point that I would want it to consolidate, and then we can have a proper altcoin season. We know that rate cuts are likely going to happen in September. As per my last video, there's a 90-something% chance that it will happen, and so perhaps we're already pricing this in. But right now, this weekly candle for Bitcoin dominance is very, very bearish, which is what you want to see for altcoins. Now, remember how we talked about this range. It is playing out to perfection. So, obviously at the range lows, I was very vocal saying that we would likely move higher from there. We covered that in my past videos. However, as we continue to pump, there was the Monday low to Monday high setup, and I did discuss that this would be the key level for me to start taking some profits on my Bitcoin long trade. The reason being, it is a very strong confluence level. We have, first of all, the point of control, which is where most of the volume is in this range, and we also have the top of the range that we've been tracking for over 1 month now. And so Bitcoin just keeps on bouncing between these levels. Now, right here, you can see that since getting rejected at the top of this range and at the point of control, we came back down, and now we're trying to hold Monday high as support. So as I'm recording, Bitcoin is sitting just below $117,000. Our entry was obviously much, much lower. And so what we're seeing here is that there could be strong continuation, because if we continue to hold Monday's high as support, then ultimately, maybe we have another attempt at breaking this crucial resistance level. And if we start holding above 117.7K, right around this area, this yellow box, at that point, I would not be shocked if Bitcoin hits $120,000 at the very least. But we know when Bitcoin really pumps, it takes charge, and that's typically when Bitcoin dominance continues to increase. However, if we get rejected here again and we just continue to chop around, and we'll need to be patient again, at that point, this is when Bitcoin dominance goes down and we can see some select outperformance from altcoins. It's only really when Bitcoin breaks out, takes charge, that Bitcoin dominance goes up, or of course, if we have a crash back down to the bottom of the range, then at that point, Bitcoin dominance would also likely continue to increase. So I want you to pay attention to this level, 117.7K. If we can make it there, hold it as support, then at that point, we are targeting the 120K liquidity that we've been talking about on the channel at length. So many shorts piled into the market, and there is still way more liquidity to the upside, despite the fact that we have been seeing that over the past 7 days, a lot more longs did enter the market. But today, when we had a little bit of a drop, shorts came in aggressively. I don't know who's encouraging you to short this market at this point in time, but we know in terms of liquidity that when a lot of people start piling into shorts, this is very, very positive for someone like myself who has been going long for quite some time. And on the 30-day time frame, I need to remind you, we have way more liquidity to the upside. The total cumulative short liquidation leverage sits around 17.3 billion, and the total cumulative long liquidation leverage sits at around 8 billion. There's over 2 times more short liquidation leverage in the market at this point. So pay attention here, because I do think that this huge level of 120K can be hit so long as we hold 117.7K as support. At that point, we pump. And then, depending on the reaction of 120K, that's also the point in time where we can start discussing new all-time highs above the range high here and above the previous all-time high around $123,000. Now, what is next? How am I navigating this market? Because I know a lot of you will be asking about altcoins, seeing this recent drop in Bitcoin dominance. But the thing is, I want you to pay attention to this chart. Really, tell me which altcoin has outperformed Ethereum continuously. Yes, there's some select outperformers over the course of maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks, but honestly, look at this chart. It is all the other altcoins against Ethereum. And what you can see here is that they just continue to bleed against Ethereum, and this is with ETH hitting that $4,000 level. What a massive milestone. Now, as I said, as Ethereum continues to crawl up, there's higher likelihood that altcoins will follow with ETH, but right now I am extremely pleased with my spot Bitcoin and spot ETH position. ETH gives me exposure to the altcoin market, and it also minimizes my downside risk. I am a massive ETH holder, and I stand to benefit the higher that ETH goes. Now, once Ethereum stops taking charge, that's probably the point in time where we see Bitcoin dominance decrease even more as the other altcoins really start to pick up. But I do need to warn you, my base case is still that Bitcoin dominance isn't quite done yet. I don't think that this is actually the start of altcoin season, although it's looking quite nice on the weekly time frame. But if we really zoom out here, for me to get the proper confirmation we need, I want to see several confirmed breaks below this level, the 60% Bitcoin dominance level. And one of the last things that I want to show you in today's video is, of course, USDT dominance. We know that when we lose this trend line, it is extremely bullish for crypto. And this is the weekly time frame. We held this trend line since all the way back in 2017. There's a lot of significance here. Now, right now, you can see that this is a red weekly candle as I zoom in. And so the next level of support, if we confirm below this range, would be around the 4% level, which leaves us some more upside for Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market. I really like what I'm seeing in terms of USDT dominance, in terms of Ethereum starting to dominate the market, and also in terms of the most recent Bitcoin price action. Every single time that Bitcoin dumps a little bit lower on the shorter timeframes, people rush into shorts. And this is exactly what we want to see for more continued upside if you've been long in this market and you've been following the channel. Now, as I wrap up this video, remember you do have the links to my community down below. It is completely free. This link brings you to my free Telegram, which you can see a lot of people have been absolutely printing in there. There's one guy here that said just through watching the channel and not even following my own trade setups, he profited $2,000, and over the past 7 days, he made $7,000. Now, this is amazing, and I love to see all of the community wins. You can see that someone else, through my analysis, ended up longing Ethereum, and we also have a guy that actually left crypto, and he messaged me today saying, bro, that's it. I'm fully coming back to crypto. That conviction you had at this dump to 112K is on another level. I will only take your trades. Now, while I typically wouldn't recommend to just simply copy all of the trades that I put out, I do really like to read these messages because it does reassure me that I am providing value to you in the space. And if you want to join that premium group where I do actually post my own trade setups, you have that first link in the description down below. DM me the word premium on Telegram, and I would be more than happy to onboard you for free. And also remember, the third link in my description, we do have a phenomenal exchange for you, which is indeed Weeks, and it's actually where I have my Bitcoin long position open. As you can see, we're currently sitting at around $36,000 in profit. This trade was fully shared within my community, and we realized $4,500 in profit. So if you want to trade with me, you have the links in the description down below. You have Bluffin, you have Weeks, and actually, before I wrap up this video, on Weeks, there's a $1,000 ETH position airdrop. All you need to do is sign up with my link in the description down below, trade as you normally would, and if you download the Weeks app, you'll get $1,000 in an Ethereum position for free. Whether you want to go long or short, you can use that capital, and any profits that you make go directly in your pocket. Remember, that is the third link in my description down below. Don't miss out because this campaign actually ends very soon. And that sums up today's video. Everything is looking good. Ethereum continues to pump past $4,000, showing strength despite the fact that we can see that Binance have been offloading a little bit of their Ethereum. But as I mentioned earlier in today's video, that is not a cause for concern. We also have Bitcoin currently holding Monday's highest support after getting rejected at the key confluence level that we discussed in my previous videos. Now let's see what happens. If we can reclaim above 117.7K, at that point, 120K is next, and I can only imagine what would happen to Ethereum if Bitcoin were to confirm at much higher levels. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.